And the video's on? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Judy.
I'd like to call this workshop on the general fund budget to order. Will please rise and pledge the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. The process tonight will be, we're going to go through all the non-wage related items in the budget first, and then at the end, we will then go into all the wages at one time. It's just easier than trying to pick and choose as we go through this whole thing. We may go into executive session as just before the wage thing, but I'm not sure. So that's the sequence that we're going to happen, and we're going to go right from the top. And what I did, I made some changes to the original tentative that was sent out. I've changed the results of the holiday vacation time from 48 hours to 28 hours. My mistake, I thought there were more holidays in the benefit package than there were. So we're going to go from the beginning, and those things are all incorporated into here. And we'll just do them in big bunches here. In the town board one, where it says conventions and training, that has been increased from previous years because we'll probably have 2 people definitely going to Albany, that new people or people that didn't get a chance to get up there. And then there's an extra, roughly $1,000 for extra training for anybody that wants to go someplace else. Like Dean, for example, may want to go up to Albany again or something like that and, you know, refresh. He's not been there for a while. So I put that up, so that's up there. Other than that, there's not much else up in the town board thing there. Then on the top of page 2 is where we get into the justice stuff. And one of the adders that are occurring there is the constable yearly training. Since we have constables, we gotta pay some money to have them trained every year. So we paid it this year, and we just gotta put it in the budget so it's there. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you also added to the training for the justices themselves.
yeah, they said the training costs are going up just
Okay. All right.
in these years, and so I just put in what they say, because I don't go, I don't know.
Okay.
So, and again, if there's too much and they don't spend it, then it doesn't get wasted. I mean, it's not something that disappears. It doesn't get wasted. So, then we go down the bottom of the page is the supervisor one. I added in 1,000 for conventions and training for me, because that was always 0 for 3-4 years. I forget how many years now.
I think, is this a typo in, for supervisors, or we're not gonna do that now, we'll talk about that later.
What, up in the, expenses?
No,
Yeah.
in the salary, the supervisor's salary. Is
Uh,
that- That's not the number that was in your spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
Is that just a typo?
Yeah, it's a typo.
Okay.
I didn't catch that.
I thought so.
It's very
Okay.
tricky, Uncle Ren.
So it should
Well, I
be,
said I wasn't
It
doing,
could be a typo.
fine.
we'll do all the salaries.
There's all a couple
Change
zero
it to the
typos.
pie.
Yep, we'll do it later.
Yeah, it'll balance out with the plus and minus that Dean suggested. So, that's basically all the changes that were made there. So, as I say, there's not much changing being done here. Most of it's in the wages area. There's a couple of things that are in there that are special. Now, the next one is the tax collector. we had Fred come by, he's our software guy. He was checking all our equipment to see how the security and everything else was. And we may need to buy a new laptop for $1,000 or something with the programs and stuff for the tax collector. We'll have to see how that goes. But at the moment, I increased contingency, so if we need that, we'll just move it from contingency over to here and cover it, so it's not gonna do an impact to the budget. It's just, I'm telling you, so if you see it pop up, you know why it's there. Most of this stuff is pretty much standard. Postage goes up, goes down. And the software is gone up for almost all these major programs. Generally $100, $150 in that kind of range, so all those numbers have gone up throughout the place.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was there any discussion with the tax collector on additional filing space for the records that were brought back into
Nobody asked?
the town hall? Because that was an issue last year.
Nobody asked?
Okay, that would be capital, right?
No, it'd be equipment, that's the .2, where it says tax collector equipment.
I think that's,
That would be a filing
I
cabinet
think
fit
that,
in there.
yeah, that will be something I think you'll have to add.
Well, as I said, I put a little extra in the contingency so that
Okay.
the budget doesn't go crazy if
Okay.
we make some of these changes. But I don't have any information or what number and what size, Okay, let's see, the next one goes to the engineer. He's basically the same. Oh, that's you. It's the same as what we had last year. Maybe it might be on the light side for some of these projects that we're looking to get
think
grants and stuff on, but it's hard to tell.
Should
how
be
much it-
assessor. Did you miss a page?
You did, yep.
Oh, I did?
Assessor, maybe you missed,
Oh,
maybe you caught a page twice.
oh, they were stuck together.
Yeah, assessor is where we should be.
Yeah, assessor.
Yep.
Yeah, I put in everything they asked for. And, I looked back and forth, but pretty much all
What is it?
standard.
What does ER stand for?
Where's ER?
Under
Oh,
assessor.
equalization rate.
Okay.
So, and it's, we bought the software last time, and now it's just the maintenance programs for it. Data processing for Dutchess County, we got that number there. And then, Board of Assessment Review, it's the same meals cost as we've been using for years. It's in that range. Sometimes it's 100, sometimes 125, don't know precisely. The next one comes down to the town clerk. Here I put a major hit in, sort of the second last line, $8,000 for updating the general code, 8 local laws, but we'll have more of them by the time next year's done, so, yeah, we only need probably 6 or 6.5, but we got more coming, so we might as well have enough money in there to cover them all, so that'll cover that. The rest of the stuff, the maintenance for the software went up 100, 150, I forget the exact amount, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. That was the big hit there. Okay, I just talked about the engineer one. The rest of them are zeros on that page. So page 7. Oh,
The attorney at the beginning.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did increase
The
the top
attorney.
attorney one
Yeah,
because think we're gonna be hitting more litigation or more review of local laws that, you know, you guys are pumping out. And that takes time. And these new grants, like the one I got from Sue Serino, has taken attorney review of the whole document and writing a very special letter to go with it. And I'm sure if I get more of those, it's gonna be more and more. So between the local laws or those kind of rulings and the attorney for reviewing things so that we can get the grant money, it's just going up. So again,
Do the fees refer to court fees? Is that what the attorney fees are in the fifth line?
no, this is the attorney that comes up to prosecute the V&T, vehicle and traffic law
Oh,
stuff.
okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right.
that's the special prosecutor. Vehicle and traffic is what V&T is.
Because that's quite a bit more than last year.
I know, it's been
Yeah.
going up.
Ah, okay.
I don't know if business is more or what, but,
Is the revenue going up?
yeah, the revenue's
okay.
coming up too.
All right,
So, I mean,
faster than the cost will.
they don't come in at the same time.
Oh, okay, all right.
The fees come in,
So if our guy has to go to court, that's covered in the first line, under attorney, is that,
yeah,
okay,
if somebody, you know, like, say we prosecute,
Yeah.
take Article
Yeah,
78 or
okay.
something like that, the court, that'd be the first line. And then Carol gets a lot of documents reviewed, written, and brought from him, and I know you've called him and talked to him a lot of
a few
times.
times, yeah,
So, I mean, I'm not citing anybody
Okay.
as doing something wrong, it's just,
got
it
it.
takes money to do all of this
Mhm.
stuff, and it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, that's the attorney one there. Buildings and grounds. We have in the center, we have E for equipment type of thing there. Always keep $700 for miscellaneous programs. Somebody may need a version of Excel or or of a spreadsheet or some processing document that we never knew we needed, you know. These things pop up, so just to have the money there. And now we're doing Google Chrome software licenses, and that's about $660 a year, so gotta put that in. And then we just keep a traditional $500 there for hardware for computers, printers, displays, something may die, we gotta replace it, you know. So that's what that one is. Next one is buildings and grounds, the page 8. Again, we have the BAS building program in there, and again, that went up. And then we have the virus internet control pay to Fred, $630. And then we have the laser fiche and codification maintenance all shown there, so those are all up about $150 each. So just adds there. And then we get down into the bottom is where that big stack is under 495. All the maintenance things are pretty much the same cost. Now, the last one there is to replace the old garage roof. The old garage roof is the one where they take the money for the recycling center. It's that one that's here. I put in for a grant last year. I didn't get the grant because it wasn't big enough. So I'm putting in for a grant this year, and if we get it, then we could use it for another project, but I don't know. I'll put in for it now, but I probably won't know until, I don't know, January or February, whether it's possible to get, and then it'll be about 3-4 months at least of getting paperwork back and forth to keep filling out the thing.
I have a question about building and grounds.
Yeah,
I understand that you were trying to get a grant to take care of the blacktop and the,
yeah,
if that's not going to come
no, I'm
for any
sending in some
reason,
more
then we need
paperwork.
to do something before winter with the front of this building.
This will not be able to be done before winter. because
It is not,
the macadam plants are being closed.
well, it is not safe the way it is.
Oh.
So
I was hoping to have it done this year.
I think your exposure with staying that way is worse than doing whatever you had to do to get it fixed.
Then I might as well not submit the grant. I cancel the grant. I got $50,000 to do the work.
Well, if you, like tonight, we'll walk out there in the dark, and there's clearly uneven spaces. Somebody steps in one of those, it's a problem. I just want to go on record as saying that, that's all.
So, I mean, the dilemma has been how slow it takes to go through Albany to get it. It waited for 3 months till the governor signed the grant because he wasn't signing things. So, I mean, that's what louses up, and then I can't do anything on that grant until I get a final written approval from them. And then I have to go through the whole design and bidding process, and then the plant closes around Thanksgiving, so it just doesn't fit. I was hoping to have it done by this year.
Okay.
This spring is when you're planning?
Yeah.
Spring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what about the work on the library that we had talked about last year? Remember you had put
Yeah, that's supposed to be done.
the 11,000?
Yep,
Okay, because I don't see that.
that's right, I took it out.
So where would that be? Where would that be listed?
Well, it's gone, it's not in this year's budget.
So it's not going to be done?
No,
No, the money's allocated this year.
money's for this year.
Oh, the money is for this year?
It's this year, yeah, only show this year's stuff.
Okay, so the money
That's
is for
next
this,
year's stuff, yeah.
okay.
And then the heating and maintenance and
What about the two
generators.
buildings, we had talked about this briefly? The schoolhouse and the Masonic Hall, which are badly in need of painting, or power washing or something. They're pretty dismal looking.
Well, if you power wash, you're gonna need to paint it. Because of all the people come off.
Yeah, it'll go flying
There
off.
is-
Well, we power washed our house a few years ago, and we
No,
didn't
it's,
have
it's
to paint.
peeling, it's gonna come
Yeah,
off.
Okay.
Theron said that he was gonna have one of his seasonal guys power wash the buildings.
Okay,
Now, the painting, no.
but you don't want them to paint.
Huh?
You don't want them to paint.
No,
because
no,
that-
they
that
can't
involves
paint.
working up on ladders.
Oh,
and
yeah,
things of
yeah,
that
no,
sort.
no, they wouldn't paint that.
I mean, I know it's expensive to do that.
I'm making a guess, and I really don't have much knowledge on it. It's probably $20,000
Oh, I'm sure.
or more.
I'm
Because you
sure.
got the little cupola
Yeah.
up on top of the Masonic, and you
Easily.
gotta scrape, and then it's a lot of expense on
Well, you
these
just did your house.
Yeah.
It was
shutters.
expensive.
All
Yeah.
the shutters gotta be
I
repainted.
mean, we did half our house, it was $10,000, so it's easily $20,000.
Yeah, as I say,
Well, I got a price for my house, it was $40,000.
Oh, is it?
More in the range.
I mean,
Yeah.
We're in
but
the wrong
but they're
business.
in pretty bad shape. They
All right.
just sends out a bad message, you know.
Bad message, but I'm trying to get the safety stuff covered first.
Going back to attorney, I see the 2,000 for the power line was in there, and I thought last year we all agreed that there would be no more money for attorney for the power lines.
It's not necessarily for the attorney, it's if I gotta go or ask our attorney something on the power line, I would charge it off to that rather than the other attorney expenses. Or if I gotta go to Albany on a trip and something like that, to cover those kind of expenses.
And I didn't see allocation anywhere for the planner for the rezoning committee. Where do you have that?
It's under zoning,
Okay, so it's under
Yeah,
the
it-
zoning thing.
yeah, it's under the zoning,
Like 8021.
yeah. So, the next page is insurance, roughly the same as last year. I think it actually went down a little bit. The dues are within very simple, very close to each other. I increased the contingency here from 10 to 20 to take care of surprise things that we just talked about. Somebody needs a file cabinet or something that we just didn't know what to put in. So it would reduce this and put the money over there, so it doesn't change up anything. And dog control, he's just about the same as last year. And then building and fire inspector, it's about the same as last year. And vital statistics, we always keep $50 there, because if something pops up, you know, she needs her special sheets of
Yeah.
paper or something like that, covers that. Highway superintendent's on page 11. It's pretty much the same there as we had in prior years. And the economic assistance, that's,
Hold
I
on.
think, the very bottom of the page
Do-
there.
I have a question about highway.
Yeah,
Do we allocate any money in the budget for education?
yeah, it's called conventions and training,
That's
$100.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm thinking internal stuff where we bring people in.
that's in the highway
Have to
budget.
pay. That would
That's the
be
highway budget. This
Okay.
is for him going
Right.
someplace.
$100
Okay.
doesn't go very far.
He doesn't go many places. He doesn't go, rarely. I mean, that was a surprise this past year that he did go someplace.
That's not quite, he's ramping up a lot of education for his guys.
But that's a different type of education I'm talking about. This is for him, not for his guys. His guys have that in their budget, the highway budget.
When you're good, you're good.
The recreation, the first page is all wages. Page 13, I did not get any real significant input here, so much of this is trying to figure out what was done historically and putting in the numbers to cover it. I did put in for the arts and crafts, because Catherine said she wanted twice the amount of money because she was using up surplus stuff that she had
Which page? are you-
collected together.
Oh, you're on the
Page
recreation.
13.
Okay.
So I increased that one, and we put in the $200 there for the health director for rec camps to review the medical immunizations, had to put that in there. And,
I noticed that-
Don't we have to do background checks now, too?
yeah, that's under other. But background checks are free through the state.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're free.
We now have an aquatics director, is that, this is something new? We didn't have
Well,
one last year.
We had it there, but it was a different name, but it's the same function.
Okay.
Where do you see that?
He's doing salary.
You want to, we can do
He's
that
not-
later.
Oh,
He's not following the rules.
Sorry, I'm not following the rules.
send that down to him, Marty.
So those are,
Give it to her.
yeah, oh, I got black and blue. What?
I'm just looking. Okay, I'm looking for the employee that will be doing the park, the grass cutting and that, because it'll no longer in Theron's budget.
Right, yeah. We'll come back and do all of the people with wages separately. So in middle of 13, the library is the same number as we had in this previous year. Senior bus, senior trips there, that's really the seniors picnics that we have in the summer down at the rec park. Because the county runs it, but we pay for it. Oops, wrong way. Okay, cable TV, that's on the top of 14. Just miscellaneous tapes, DVDs, cables, and stuff like that. And occasionally we have to buy a replacement part for something that burns out up there. So that's what the 500's there for. Zoning administrator is pretty simple and straightforward. It's all travel, driving back and forth to inspections or whatever. The ZBA, the bottom of the page there, if you look at just about the last line, it's $6,000 in there. I don't know how much more busier you're gonna be, we may have to put more in there.
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest, is that we put more in there. I mean, we should hopefully get almost done, where if we start, you know, and you put the money in for the attorney, that if we start, maybe looking at some of these, codes that we've updated, and maybe take them one at a time to, you know, to have them reviewed by the attorney.
Yeah, the attorney part would be up front. This is,
Right,
this is for Neil
Neil, yeah,
to do the work, that's what that is.
right.
So, I mean, I can move that up to 8,000.
Well, it'd be safe to move it up to 8,000,
I mean-
because we took the, like I said, the 2,000 we were supposed to have for the secretary out.
Yeah, I mean, originally it was like 2,000 or 3,000,
I know.
and it's just been growing.
Well, hopefully, in the next year and a half or two, we should hopefully be done.
So that was all the real stuff there. Hopefully.
I have to steer that ship a little tighter,
So on
get her done.
16, CACs, same set of numbers. The refuge and garbage, the trash pickup, you know, at the various rec parks and back here. Roadside cleanup, metal roll-offs are free, tire disposal. Included in that are the highway tires. We can't easily separate them all the time, so we just put them all here. And the stickers are for town clerk for the use of that. I left $1,000 for cemetery expense.
I
Have
never-
no feeling yet.
I never heard from
Well, you gotta call.
out the bugger again, I
You
suppose.
gotta call more than once a year.
Well, I've called her a couple times the past few months and left messages on her answering machine. Dottie, I think, right? Graybill? Is it
Sally.
Dottie? Sally Graybill.
Silent.
So I will have to keep on top of that.
So, I mean, I put it there because I don't know what's happening. Technically, we should be picking up the Providence Cemetery, but we were trying to work it out that one of the other cemeteries picked it up
They would merge.
and could get a 5,000 or something grant to really straighten the stones, cut the branches back on the trees, and do a good mow job, and then have it turned over.
Yeah, they would have to merge.
But they'd have to
which
merge to
apparently
do
they-
that.
They don't care to do.
It's the same people
It's-
in both
Exactly.
cemeteries, the same people. But, so that's open. I just put a number there, just as a placeholder. The social security stuff down there, that's calculated from all the wages times that .0765. The permit is split between the highway and general fund people.
Right.
And that's a reasonable split that we made up years ago.
Since we went over sanitation here,
Oh,
one of the things that I keep on saying every year, is that if the park is technically closed at this point, we should call up and tell them to stop picking up.
We already
Yeah.
discussed
Did
it.
you?
Yeah, we're doing a whole checklist of what
Yeah.
needs to be done.
Because they'll pick up on need,
He's gonna padlock it and cut, that's it.
but they'll even pick up on need, you know,
Yeah.
so you could just do it on call at,
Right.
you know, after, let's say, October, or whenever the
Right.
last.
or
Party
Thanksgiving
is-
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But then, you know, let's say it comes to December or whatever, if there's a full thing, you can call up and just have them pick up once,
Yeah.
instead of
yeah.
paying on a
Oh, yeah,
monthly
yeah.
basis.
Dan is already doing that.
Yeah.
So, hopefully save some money in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the disability arch insurance there is $700, and that changes from, a little bit from year to year, but it's not too bad. Then the next one, which I added, was this longevity, which adds $4,000 to the budget for longevity for the people, so that's an additional income to them and they'd get that in December. We talked about it over the years, and we had enough money, I think, to do it, so,
These are for, this is hourly people,
Huh?
hourly people,
yeah. Not wage not salary.
not salaried, not elected.
So now this is a flat fee, not a percentage
No.
of what they're making or anything else?
No,
Excuse me, Ray, but it is salaried people, it's not elected. The salaried people have always been,
I don't,
it's just clerical? Yes, my recollection is it's everyone but elected,
yeah.
so it would
I-
include salaried as well, but you
Oh.
can double check.
Yeah,
just
I have
wanted
to- I'll
just double
check, yeah.
that,
All
but
right.
that's
I think
my
you're right.
recollection.
I think you're right. But how would that be one check? I mean, it's not divided
No, they
over
get one check in December
in December
for
of,
this thing
December of
specifically.
2018.
No,
No.
in December.
Of
Well, yeah, this is the
2018.
18, yeah.
Okay,
But they get their regular paycheck
yeah,
whenever it pops up.
And
right,
it's an all or none, so unless they work the whole year, then
Yeah,
right,
they
okay.
wouldn't get it.
yeah. We'll have to redo the policy for the handbook. I have the old one to stuff it in to provide all the detail.
Mhm.
And
Are these numbers from some kind of formula, or they're just arbitrary numbers?
they're half of what the highway gets.
Okay,
2 years ago, I tried the full thing,
all
and
right. all right.
nobody wanted anything,
Fine.
so
Okay,
I cut it back to half.
okay,
And we'll stay there for a while and
All right.
see how it floats.
okay.
The bond and interest, that's strictly off the chart. And no TAN, no interest, no principal. We're finally out of that. And the last one on 18 is transfer to retirement reserve fund. What I've been doing is I've been transferring the money so we could pay in December rather than in January, or February rather, so that we get $1,000 savings. So we just predate the money there, and that works. And that way then we save an extra $1,000.
Yeah, I'm still surprised that the comptroller says that there would be no increase, especially since some of their interest-bearing bonds that they have their investments on are coming due, and it most likely will be a less revenue to them.
So that's all of the, let's see. All of the expenses there that we talked about. And the 27 is the revenues. Oops. That's okay, won't spill. I put in, just so I could keep record to make sure I get the money in and I get the checks sent out for the fire districts right here.
So what happens with the fire district? I mean, the money comes in
Yep, we
here,
get all
and
the
then
money.
we
I gotta write a check,
just run it through? We
Yep.
have no,
no change,
okay.
no. Whatever it is, whatever they send us. And then the taxes are calculated, so that's just a fixed number. Interest and penalties on real property tax, that's if people don't pay their land tax on schedule. They pay late, there's a penalty, and there's an interest, and depends how late and on. So we get some of that money up to July 1st. After July 1st, the county gets all that money. But it's 10,000 to 12,000, it's in that kind of range. Sales tax looks like the economy's picking up, so I lifted it up
It was what,
175 or something, yeah.
175?
Yeah. But I guess, but it's a gamble, I mean, who knows? And then franchise cable TV went up a little bit. Clerk fees are holding pretty much the same, vital statistics pretty much the same, sticker sales about the same, tire disposal look about the same. The summer camp revenue, I put only 4 weeks' worth rather than 6 weeks that we had before, so I reduced the number there.
That number will increase in 2018.
Well, but I'm using what we did this year
It's fine.
as a basis.
That's fine.
you know. And pavilion rental, that's been maxed out, so can't get much more there. Zoning fees, planning board fees, those come from actual numbers. Interest and earnings, $125. I mean, it comes out to be $10 a month. It's sad. That's what it is. Dog licenses, campground fees, those are so much $1 per site. Public driveway permits, about $100. We don't get too many driveway permits because we're not building many new houses or stuff anymore. Building permits are up because everybody is modifying so that they can stay there. The courts, general fines and forfeiture altogether has gone up a little. Looks like people are speeding more on the Taconic. Minor sales, we're not doing too much on that anymore because we used to do a lot of zoning laws and master plans and subdivision. Now it's all on the computer.
It's all free now.
It's all free
Yeah,
now, so
yeah.
I put something there, but
Yeah.
it's not a big swinger anymore. And donations, that's the typical Omega donation.
Is it?
And miscellaneous, that's a whole potpourri. That number can range from $50 up to $5,000, depending on stumpage and all kinds of crazy things that can pop up. So it's a catch-all. And it all basically comes through the town clerk for the most place. Revenue share, that's a fixed number from Albany. They were gonna take it away from us, but they gave it back to us. And the mortgage tax stayed about the same. And, oh, yeah, next page, got something? Youth programs, that's what we get from New York State. Roughly that much comes like in December. The paperwork submitted in, September, October time period, but by the time we get the money sent back, that's when it comes, and then I transfer from accumulated balances 13,000. I reduced it from the 20,000 before. So that's the incomes, some went up, some went down.
It says, for accumulated balance transfer, oh, it had 0 on last year, no? It was 20,000?
Yeah, it varies from year to
All
year.
right.
The object that I gotta try to do is make sure I have $450,000 so I can pay my bills for the first 2 months of the year. That's how much we need roughly. And that includes, some revenues coming in already, not from taxes, but from fees and stuff like that to help offset the cost. But that's what I need. So once I've gotten up to that threshold, then I stopped doing the TAN. That's why I needed the TAN to bolster it, because we were too low. So that's going through that whole thing. Now, we got 2 ways we can go through this thing. We can go through the chart like this, or we can go through page by page. If you go through the chart, we can just, see if there's any comments or agreements, and if we want to make changes, we can make some changes. If not, now, basically on the chart, there's a 2% increase, which I had in the tentative already there, okay? So that was already put in. And then trying to balance out the numbers that we had, that were in the survey that was done of surrounding communities and comments from board members. I passed it around twice or 3 times, I forget, I lost track. I then came out with the set which I sent out the other day, and that's what the set is that I put in here. unless I did a typo between them, I should be pretty good. So, we can just start right at the top, council persons. That went up slightly, gets us closer to being what everybody else was.
Well, brings also back to what we cut.
Yeah,
6
and
years
we're
ago.
also trying to,
What you're basically saying is you're making an attempt in 2018 to restore some of the cuts that were
some of
made.
those cuts for the supervisor and the,
All right.
town board people. The others didn't have it, but the others, for a few years, didn't get any pay increases either, 2%.
Right.
So, we're trying to get everybody back on schedule, so,
That number's similar to the number in 2002, I think.
oh, yeah, it could be,
It is,
okay. I
That's
just
44.
yeah.
Yeah. So, the superintendent of highways, he went up. The supervisor went up to 2%, and then the other part is down in the bottom here, where I gotta find it here. Budget officer. That went up for the difference, as Dean suggested.
Yeah, because that was really where a lot of the money came out of the supervisor, was out of the budget officer's category.
So, it added a little there, but just 2% on the supervisor up in the top. Tax collector, 2%.
I got,
Huh?
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You took 2% from where to where? Because
From last year's adopted budget.
adopted budget, it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's
it looked like it was.
14.7%.
Yeah, it looked like it was more
Yeah,
than,
it's 14.7% for the supervisor. It's not 2%.
Oh, no, I said it wasn't just 2%, it was also to make up for the cutback,
The restoration
the
of
restoration.
cuts.
That was 25% cut.
Oh, okay, fine.
And
All
then
right.
I put the 10% increase to get us partway there. We're not there all the way to the numbers we used to be.
right, but,
But for the town board, the increase is 26%, which is pretty substantial.
Well, there are also the 10% and the 6%, no, 2%. And get them in line with the community around us. I mean, there's several
Well,
factors I'm
yeah,
trying to do.
Yeah, no, I understand, but 26% is a lot.
You bite the bullet someplace to get in balance. That's,
Well, it's not biting the bullet, actually, it's just the opposite. It's getting a lot.
well, it's getting a lot, but they've been penalized for 4 years or 6 years
Well,
underpaid. I mean,
presumably, we're not doing it for that reason.
well, we're trying to get them back to equity,
It seems like a lot. When you're asking other people to accept less on a
Well,
percentage basis,
but-
to give ourselves
But they
26%.
didn't get hit with the 10,
I understand that.
25%
I
either.
understand that.
So,
But,
it's
okay.
an up and a down. The town clerk went up, doing, we didn't have the 25% cut there, but it went up to include all the extra work that's going on with these petitions and everything else that she has to do.
It's also the same thing, trying to bring it back to where it was.
Yeah.
well, not what it was, what comparative,
What it
To
would
the
be.
communities are.
around us.
I mean, we're still, everyone in the town is still way under
I
comparison to
know,
other
but
towns, so.
You can't make
No, you can't,
50% jumps.
No, exactly.
And then the town justices, they went up more than the 2%, but they wanted 15,000 and it's 1250 or 12,500. And then, let's see. So the assessor went up 500 more than the 2%, roughly. Because the tentative budget was a 2%. And the other one is, so it's just 500 more. And that one was under compared to a lot of the other assessors. Let's see, where we go next. The attorneys, their rates stayed the same. Budget officer, this went up a little bit, only 500. So it's not that much. Building inspector just went up to 2%. ZBA planning clerks went up a little bit more to balance it out with the surrounding areas. Went up 11 cents more.
About 2.5%.
11 cents more. New clerks, I just left it the same at the moment, because eventually that's gonna get hit with the $15 minimum wage law.
When does that take effect? In 2018?
Well, it won't go to
No.
15 here. It has to be reevaluated. It'll only go to like 1250 before it gets
Okay.
reevaluated.
But, you know, that's gonna be cranking these numbers up, because I have to go in here and change all the low numbers up every year. Gotta find who's ever below the thresholds, I gotta lift them all up. And let's see here where we are. Clerks other, that went up to 2%. Clerks to the justice went up 2% plus
It's about 3%
12.
overall.
12 cents or something like that. Gets them closer to the counter people. Court attendance stayed the same, didn't change them at all, they just started. I mean, the constables, rather, we don't have a court attendants, the constables.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be more this year? Because we pretty much doubled the constable's salaries from last year when we made them armed versus,
Yeah, so
Just
that's what I'm
court.
saying, I'm not,
Like
I
$20
didn't
an
make
hour.
a change,
yeah.
just holding it the same, because it's not been here, they haven't been here long.
Oh, you're not
It's a
increasing
rate-
them?
it's a
Okay, yeah,
rate
yeah.
per
Just,
hour.
It's
not-
rate per
not a
hour.
total.
yeah, okay.
And custodian is 2%, a little over 2. Town hall custodian was 2%. Dog control was 2%. Gate guards, that's minimum wage. Highway temp stayed same number there, but that'll probably perk up in a year or so. And then the historian, just left, that went up 2%. Gate lifeguards, max per hour, that went up 2%. But that's the max. I mean, they got all skill levels, so there are different numbers in there, depending on how many years they've done it. Aquatic rec director, that was a new position we had to put in. Recreation assistant went up 2%. Recreation director went up 2%. Recreation leader, 2%. Recreation maintenance stayed the same. Vital statistics went up 2%. Yeah. Tax collector deputy stayed the same.
Well, I thought that was temporary, right?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, so there was discussion, we eliminate that position, I'll make it 0.
Well, that's what we thought last
Yeah,
year. We
well, I know, but until we discussed it or had agreement, I didn't want to take it out.
Mhm.
So that'll go to 0. Town deputy clerk went up more than 2%. I don't have the exact percentage.
2.3.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the zoning administrator went up 2%.
You
So-
left out, you skipped, I think, the highway
Highway
clerk.
Oh,
I think you
I
missed.
did?
You missed, I think you just missed her, that's
So
all.
are we taking?
She went up
uh,
$1 from
Yep.
13 to 14.
Right. That's what Karen asked for, and
Right.
that's a bigger increase than 2%. but
That's about 7.
Yeah, it sort of gets her in the range now
Well, it's closer,
to where she
Yeah.
should be, yeah.
yeah.
So that's, you know, all the paid people, and, you know, those numbers will be reflected back in there, into the new thing, so put a 0 there, and is there any other comments you wish to make?
Elliot, you have one?
Well, yeah. I specified 4 people who I thought deserve increases beyond what's here. You have the numbers, so there's no sense, there's no reason to go through them, they're all there. And my proposal, which is also in the numbers there, was to take the money for us and the supervisor, to take lower increases and basically cover the added increases for the 4 employees who I think are entitled to it. So,
My view is, we do it this way here. Next year, we can do another little balancing, and 2% or whatever the economy says it is, and get these things lined up. I mean, some of your increases are pretty big. $1,000, I mean, that's a pretty big hit. So,
well, the overall increase in percentages go from, one is 5%, 2 are 10, and 1 is 15, which are not, to my way of thinking, excessive.
as I say, I was looking at actual dollar values and comparing them to the surrounding communities rather than worrying about this one got 10%, this one got 12, this one got 11. You go crazy trying to do it that way.
Well, I mean, you go crazy either way, but it's hard to draw comparisons because jobs are.
I know, and they're all different.
Exactly.
So
You know,
that's,
So at some level, it's apples and oranges, and
so
you're
it's
doing, you're using your best guess, or
so,
whatever you want to call it, to try to develop some level of equity or parity or what have you. Anyway,
so, I just suggest that we go with what I proposed and put in that last column, except for the 0.
Yeah, the only other thing that I would make a suggestion, and I know we discussed it last year, and it kind of adds into what Elliot's saying, is that, Arlene had stated that she works more hours than what we're paying her for.
Okay.
And we had to stay under the 29 hours, but I only see 21 hours here. So is there more hours on a different line that I'm missing,
No,
or?
it's 20 hours, it's half-time.
Right.
just, you only see 21 for Arlene? I saw 29.
Well, I see clerk 20, does it is 29?
29,
Yeah, it's 29.
yeah,
It's
Under
29.
30 with an Obama.
Right,
Right.
exactly, okay.
Right.
got all kinds
Yeah,
of,
it's 29.
yeah, it's-
So I saw clerk under the building department, and I only saw
No, no.
21 there, so that's why I
no,
was
that's a different,
questioning. Okay.
we don't have that function
All right.
anymore.
Oh, that's a job that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a 0 there.
Yeah, if you look at page 15, you see where,
Yeah, that's right on the top of
Yeah.
15.
the 4th line down, hours per week,
Yeah, under
29.
the building, planning, zoning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, no one has any,
And then the other perk that I think you're not taking into consideration is the longevity. So
That's true.
yeah,
all those would be entitled to those as well.
But longevity can go away tomorrow or next year.
oh, yeah,
Salaries typically don't.
they can go away.
Well, anything can go away,
That's
but
right.
they usually don't. Once you hit a level, it generally stays there, unless there's a change in personnel.
Yeah, so like, the biggest thing I
But
had
longevity can
mentioned
come and
was that,
go.
when you set a precedent of a salary, if that person had left, does now the new person come in at that same salary with longevity? It kind of balances that mentality out, that the pay rate would still be at that lower amount, but the longevity is the reward for being in the position for a longer period of time.
Well, generally, the salaries go down about 15%.
Some,
right? When we
certain
hire
jobs, yes, that has been true. And then, they eventually build up. Unfortunately, this is not science. It would be easy if it was science and you said, everybody starts here and everybody goes here, because not everybody's the same, the jobs are all
people.
different.
When does longevity kick in? At 5 years?
Yeah,
5 years of service?
Well, the attempt to start to bring people back to parity is starting, but it's not all going to happen
in one
in
shot.
1 year,
No,
okay? But clearly, there are some positions that are way out of skew. And I say this with tongue in cheek, one of them is the town board. I mean, the difference in the increase is not going to buy me anything, but I'm just saying, we're out of skew there. The town clerk is out of skew. There's a couple others. And the attempt is to give
Build up to it.
additional percentages in an effort to, over the next couple of years, to bring it back to where it should be. And to try to take that money and spread it across the masses doesn't accomplish that. I understand where you're coming from.
Well,
That's why I do the 2%,
Right.
so everybody gets a piece of the action.
even if we went back to, we meaning the town board, went back to what's in the tentative budget, as opposed to using Ray proposed numbers. If we went back to tentative,
It's about $500 difference.
it's still over a 12% increase over where we were. So again, looking at it from a percentage point of view, that's not a bad increase. I mean, yes, that's true. $3,900 is not a huge amount of money.
Well, you know,
but-
at this point, we're still not set in stone, and I'm more curious because we were only $800 under the cap before, that we've made some changes, that with these new changes, are we still gonna be under the cap? I
Oh,
mean,
we'll be under the cap.
so that's, you know, to me,
Even with the salary,
With all the,
Yep.
yeah, I put them all in.
And it's
All of
still-
these
yeah.
things, they're all in here, so this is a pretty firm budget, you know, in that respect. There's no open items other than the few I suggested I didn't have in there, but I had contingency that would cover file cabinets or computer or whatever.
and to the point of staying under the cap was that, you know, even though this would be like a $12 or whatever increase, they would actually be getting, because of staying under the cap, like $25, right?
Something like that.
So it would actually be to, whatever increase would be more than, less than what they would get in return for us staying under the cap.
And if we go too far under the cap, that means next year,
Well, then,
our
yeah, we
cap
set the,
starts going down and down and
we
down.
set the line too low, then we'll be back to where we were 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Right, doing
then
cuts.
I'll have to do a 10 or something. And, you know, that's wasted money doing the interest. So, any further, anyone agree with anything that Elliot wants to do, or are we gonna just
Poor Ally.
stick with
I
it?
feel so bad. I'm glad you're over there, and I feel bad. I just
Don't
don't
have to feel
agree to
you don't
spread
have to
it.
feel
I
bad. All
don't
you have to
agree.
do is agree with me. You don't have to feel bad.
If we hadn't stepped back 4 steps, I would be on your side, but,
Okay.
To me, it's not the money is not the issue.
Okay.
I think we have a responsibility as the governing
Right,
body of the
right.
town to be as fair and as considerate and as generous as we can.
Yep.
with
and there's a couple
employees.
that are sorely needed.
And particularly for at least the ones that I felt, other people may think there are others, but I just happen to choose 4 that I think are particularly deserving of a little bit extra.
Yeah.
That's all.
So I'll crank out a new one, preliminary, for our meeting next week. And it'll be pretty much the same as what you see here, because we didn't make any big changes. There's some. And I'll play with the numbers to make sure we don't go over the cap,
Yes, please.
since we're not doing the cap.
Exactly, we didn't approve it, so we can't.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll adjourn.
Did we have one thing
Oh.
that, I don't know, are we doing anything about the tax collecting thing at this point or not?
I'm taking it out of the budget.
Yeah.
Taking it out? Okay. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we'll take that out, and you can handle the situation.
Okay.
So, then I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Have a nice night.
Thank you.